I want you to meet this young man, okay?
All right.
We got a young man coming out. The reason we're going to keep Valerie on because she is in the movie business, and it's pretty interesting. Harry Medved is his name. He's 19 years old, and he comes from Los Angeles. Now, let me explain. A few years ago, Harry and his brother Michael came up with an idea to write a book just for a bit of a lark about bad movies. Now, he was just 15 years old. He was too young to drive the car, so he had to impose on his mother, and she used to ferry him from theater to theater so that he could view the worst possible movies for his book. And after sifting through about 1,000 movies, Harry Medved and his brother chose 50 of what they felt were the worst movies of all time. And now, of course, in this book here, thanks to Harry Medved, the awful movie has been elevated to the pedestal where it belongs. And according to Harry, there's a whole lot more to come from where they came from. So would you welcome, please, the author of the 50 worst movies of all time. Here's young Harry Medved. Say hello to him, will you?
One thing.
None of yours are in there.
Okay.
None of yours. In fact, I checked it.
That's true.
His comment today, this afternoon I spoke with Harry and I said to him, Valerie Perrine is there and I would hate like hell to have her come out and you start talking about any of her movies or things. And he said, and just what he just said now, he said, no, she hasn't done any bad movies. He
No,
said,
really. I mean, you've had a great track record.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, W.C. Fields and Me was a disappointment at the box office, but it was a very good film. It had a good performance by Rod Steiger. You were good in it.
Thank you.
What are some of the films that are listed in the book that might surprise people, Harry?
Well, I think The Story of Mankind is a movie that might surprise people. It was based on a big bestseller, and this film starred Harpo Marx as Sir Isaac Newton, Hedy Lamarr as St. Joan of Arc, and Peter Lorre as Nero. There's a whole scene where you see Nero actually fiddling away as Rome's burning. He's out there on the balcony, and he starts yelling, "Burn, glorious Rome! Burn! May this mantle of fire make you eternal!" And it's terrible. And the movie's produced by Irwin Allen, who today is very big.
You've even, surprisingly enough, got a John Wayne movie in here as being one of
yeah,
those
John Wayne made this film called The Conqueror, in which he plays Genghis Khan. He's got this little Charlie Chan mustache.
No.
I swear to God.
And the slanted eyes?
Exactly.
No.
And he's got a spiked helmet on. And there's one scene where he runs up to this big horde of Hollywood backlot extras. They all look like Elliot Gould. And they're all shaking their fists in the air, and they're yelling at him. And John Wayne gets up and says, "Come and take me, mongrels, if you dare. For while I have fingers to grasp a sword and eyes to see your cowardly faces, your treacherous heads will not be safe on your shoulders." And apparently the implication there is that if your treacherous heads will not be safe on your shoulders, you should carry your treacherous heads in your hands or in a suitcase.
Right, yes, right, yes, yes.
But he's made a lot of bad films, and that's what I mean. I mean, you've got an incredible track record.
Did you have to see all these movies? You had to go see all of them?
Yeah, we saw 2,000 films in part or in whole. Bad movies. See, I would go into a theater and expect a bad movie. If I had seen a film after the first 10 minutes that seemed good or mediocre, I'd just walk out and ask for my money back, because it clearly wasn't bad enough for our book.
Oh, that's funny. Well, what was the worst one you saw?
Well, one of them is called E-Ga. It's spelled E-E-G-A-H exclamation point.
Yeah.
E-Ga, yeah. It's about this teenage caveman played by Richard Kiel, who runs off to Palm Springs, California, and falls in love with a spoiled tennis-playing teeny bopper there.
A teenage caveman?
Oh, yeah. And
a tennis player?
Oh, yeah. The tennis player's
Sounds
boyfriend.
like you and I.
He's played by Arch Hall Jr., terrible actor. You could try to look at the film and you say, how did he get allowed on a set? And a quick look at the roster of the studio that made the film shows that the president of the studio was Arch Hall Sr.
Oh, I see, right.
And who's the father. And the thing is, the kid cannot act. He has a song that he sings that he wrote himself. It's called Valerie. It's terrible.
Called Valerie?
Joking. It's called Valerie, is it?
It goes, if I had 1,000 paintings in a marble gallery, then every single picture would be a Valerie, except he sings it much worse than
You sound good compared to him, right?
Very much so.
And who made the final decision as to which of these films were going to go into this book?
Well, basically, my brother Michael, who wrote What Really Happened in the Class 65, he came up with the idea for this book. And Randy Dreyfuss, who was my cousin, who also drove me around because I was 15 when I wrote it, and Randy was 18, and in California he could drive me around.
Well, you really give a good rundown in here of all of this, but I noticed that they have some dialogue marked off here. Is there a reason why you have this dialogue
Yes,
marked?
because one of our sections is mortal dialogue. We try to capture the mortal lines in these great disasters. And there's one film called Northwest Mounted Police, in which Gary Cooper plays this Texas Ranger, and Madeline Carroll, remember her from the 39 Steps? She plays,
oh, yes,
she
yes.
plays a nurse in this film. And in fact, we could read
There they are there. Is that them?
That's them. That's Mel and Carol on the right.
Yeah.
They're both overacting in a still?
Yes. In fact,
That's not easy.
would you like to do the Gary Cooper role?
Yeah, I haven't done. Yeah, can I do a bad impression of Gary Cooper?
Please do. I mean, I've been doing bad impressions.
Which one is it? Is it this first one? Or
Northwest Mountain Police. I think it's the second one.
this
The second one.
Dusty in April?
Yep.
Who's gonna? You're gonna read April?
I'll do April. I know it by heart.
Oh, you
It's
know
my
it by
book.
heart?
It's my book. I mean,
Okay.
I'll direct.
Okay.
please.
Okay, you first.
You know.
Does that mean action or something? You
Is
first.
that, I don't know. I haven't found out what means action with you yet. You know, nothing. Wait a minute, I got to. You know, I kind of got a feeling that I could make things easier for you if you'd let me.
Oh, Dusty, you're a grand person, but there just ain't anything anyone can do for me.
Sure there is. Come to Texas with me. You're the loveliest and gentlest lady I've ever known.
Oh, Dusty, you're an angel in leather.
He's a village person.
I'd look funny with leather wings. What's the other one? I don't know what the other one is. Is that? We don't even have to read the other one.
The other one's from Daughter of the Jungle, if you want to read it, but that's another.
Daughter of the Jungle?
Yeah, that's a female Tarzan movie, and it starred Sheldon Leonard.
Yeah.
And I guess you could play Takura if you'd like.
Where is it? I can't find it. Oh,
I'll
it must
forget
be
it.
here. Must be for. Is it here? No. Oh,
Well, why don't we talk about some of the scenes in the clip?
go ahead. What do you got? You got a clip
We
of
got-
some of these bad movies, eh?
Oh, great.
We have a clip from Plan 9 from Outer Space.
What is it?
Plan 9 from Outer Space was voted as the worst film of all time in our worst films poll. And has anyone seen this film?
No, I haven't.
No.
No.
The story about this movie is that Bela Lugosi died the first few days after filming. He was starring in the film.
I have heard about it.
You have?
Oh, this is great. Go on.
Oh, yeah. So the story is that the director, Edward D. Wood Jr., remained undaunted. He wanted to finish up this masterpiece even though Bela Lugosi was dead. So he used his wife's chiropractor, who's about 7 feet tall, looks absolutely nothing at all like Bela Lugosi, looks a little bit more like David Bowie. And this chiropractor throughout the rest of the film is impersonating Lugosi, and he has this cape in front of his
A cape.
face, so you can't see anything at all what he looks like.
And this is this director.
Well, no, that's the director's wife's chiropractor.
Right.
The next clip is from They Saved Hitler's Brain, which I won't tell.
They say what?
They Saved Hitler's Brain.
They saved Hitler's brain.
It's also known as The Return of Mr. H.
Right.
And the story about this is that Hitler's head is decapitated in the last days of the Berlin bunker, and they put it in this little glass pickle jar, and his loyal stormtroopers run off with it to this Latin American banana republic.
Carrying Hitler's head.
Right. And he keeps yelling out things like, March now, and we'll see a clip from that.
Right.
And then we have a clip from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, which Attack of the Killer Tomatoes was made in 1978. It was a very popular film. It's about these giant 40-foot tomatoes that take over San Diego. And then there's a clip from a movie called Robot Monster.
Yeah.
And Robot Monster is about robots from the moon that land on Earth wearing gorilla suits and deep-sea diving helmets. And the final...
What does that got to do with robots?
They couldn't
Not
afford.
much.
I know the story. They couldn't afford to
Get
have,
robot suits.
Yes, to get robot
I
suits.
managed to track down the director.
Yeah?
And he told me that he wanted to make a movie about robots, but robot suits cost about $100 or $200, and he just didn't have the budget for that. So he had a friend who owned a gorilla suit, and got his friend to walk around a gorilla suit for free, put a timing helmet on him, and figured nobody would know the difference. They just say this
It's
guy's
true.
a robot.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And then there's the incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed-up zombies. And that was the first movie filmed in hallucinogenic hypnovision.
Hallucinogenic hypnovision.
Yeah, what would happen is that every time these creatures would get loose on the screen, you'd have theater ushers running up and down the aisles, waving cardboard axes at the audience and trying to kill each member. Or the cardboard, but because cardboard doesn't
I
penetrate
get it. But the
skin, though.
fear was supposed to be there. No?
Yeah, I guess so. And
so
while that happened, they had this spiraling hypnotic wheel on the screen trying to hypnotize the audience. Get it? Hallucinogenic hypnovision.
I got it. So what we're going to see now are little pieces from all of these different films.
Right, and I can narrate a little bit more about
All
this.
right, well, let's have a look, and you tell us what we're looking at.
Okay.
I
Right.
can't wait.
Me neither.
Okay, this is Plan 9 from Outer Space. Now, notice that the actor who plays Bela Lugosi, the chiropractor, is about to bump into a tombstone. That's Mona McKinnon. She's just running off screen. That's the real Bela Lugosi. He's in the movie for about, I'd say, 60 seconds, and here's his chiropractor replacement. He's usually filmed from the back, and watch him tip into this tombstone there. And he looks absolutely nothing like Lugosi. Now this is from They Saved Hitler's Brain. In this scene, you see one of the loyal stormtroopers shooting off an American who's complaining about his dead son. And this is from Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. This was a very popular film, especially with vegetarians. And here you see a tomato about to bump an Armstrong against a lobster.
Oh, come on.
This is written in the Golden Turkey Awards.
Oh,
And this is from Robot Monster. This is a 1950 sci-fi epic. The story on this is that this guy in the gorilla suit is George Barrows. His occupation was gorilla suit man, and every time they needed a gorilla in a movie, they just bring him on, and he had his own gorilla suit, and he'd get paid like 40 bucks a day. And of course, he worked free for the director. The director of this film also made a movie called Dance Hall Racket, and Valerie might have heard of that because it's starring Lenny and Honey Bruce. This is from a movie called I Changed My Sex. It's also known as Glen or Glenda.
Glenda.
Right. See, the story on this is really the autobiographical masterpiece of the director, Edward Dewitt Jr., who was a real-life transvestite. And he would come dressed in the set in a hot pink pantsuit, high heels, and a megaphone.
See the hunchback of the Midway fight a duel of death with a mixed-up zombie.
This, of course, is from the incredibly strange creatures who stopped living and became mixed-up zombies. And in this... Oh, but here's Criswell from Plan 9 from Outer Space.
God help us in the future.
This is voted as the very worst film of all time. And hopefully we'll be bringing it to Australia soon.
Didn't you know?
Oh, Harry. That's brilliant stuff. I don't know how you got a hold of all that film, but that's terrific, isn't it? Worst movies of all time. Really lovely.
I feel better. I feel a lot better.
That's incredible. Well, if you want to see what they're about, this is the book. It's called The 50 Worst Movies of All Time, and that's the author, Harry Medved. Thank him for coming in, will you? Thanks a lot, Harry. We'll be back. We got Taj Mahal.